Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kim and today we're going through my September wrap up. Now, grab yourself a drink because this is going to take a while. I had a very good month in September. I was participating in 2 readathons. I participated in the final book support group with Steph over at Steph Loves. I'll leave a link to her channel down below, go and check her out. This was a week long and I managed to complete that TBR. I also participated in Magical Readathon, Aurelium, which is all month long, hosted by G over at Book Roast. Again, I'll leave a link to her channel down below, go and check her out as well. So because of that, I read a lot of books. So how did I do? Well, this month I set myself a challenge to have my best reading month this year. So far, my best reading month of the year was July, in which I read 17 books and 6,417 pages. This month, I smashed that. I did. So I read 27 books in September. I read a total of 9,597 pages. That broke down to 319 pages per day. I was reading roughly a book a day, so I can see why. As for my star ratings, I gave out 1 2-star, I gave out 8 3 stars, 11 4 stars, and 7 5 stars. I had a very good month. Averages out to 3.8 stars for the month. So let's go through what I actually read this month, shall we? So the first book that I read was on Final Book Support Group for a TBR Vet. It was also on Aurelium for extra credit. Demonology D, which was to read oldest book on your TBR, so kind of the same prompt. Covers both readathons. I read Rebel by Marie Lu. This is the 4th and final book in the Legend series, and it's the very, very pretty end papers, so Fairy Loot edition. This was one of the first Fairy Loot sets that I bought, so it was nice to get this finally off my TBR. Only problem, I didn't love this. Usually in the Legend world we get June and Day's perspective, back and forth. This one we had Daniel, which was Day, and we had Eden. I didn't get along with Eden, and I didn't like that we didn't have June's perspective. So for me, this one doesn't really sit in that world. It should have been a separate book, not in this series. Like a side series or a novella or something. I just don't think this was necessary. But I did enjoy parts of it, so it did get 3 stars. The next one that I read this month was on Final Book Support Group for Poll Pick, so thank you to everybody on the Discord who voted for this for me. It was also on Aurelium again for extra credit, Shapeshifting O, jewellery on the cover. I picked up A Portion by Garth Nix. If you look very, very closely, she is wearing a necklace, so it counts. Doesn't matter how big it is, it's still on the cover. The first 2 books in this series I rated 4 stars. I was really looking forward to this one, but unfortunately it fell a little flat for me. I was kind of bored reading it. So again, 3 stars. The next one that I read was on Final Book Support Group for a final book. It was also on Aurelium, again, extra credit for Animal Studies in D, a book that has had a cover change. So for that reason, I picked up, not the whole thing, I picked up Return of the King, which is the last one in this series. It is between these 2 yellow tabs here. I'm glad that I finished the series now, but I don't think Return of the King lived up to the hype of Fellowship of the Ring for me. I absolutely loved Fellowship of the Ring, but the next 2, I didn't really feel all that connected to. Royal Mail keeps contacting me saying they have delivery for me coming today. Either I have 3 different packages coming or they keep telling me the same thing. So yeah, I didn't really connect with this all that much. It did again also get 3 stars. The next one that I read was on Final Book Support Group for a new release. It was also Aurelium for You guessed it, extra credit. Conjuration D, a book with a map. So for that reason, I picked up Juno Dawson's Queen Bee. It is a beautiful, very loose edition. It is the latest in this series. It is a prequel. She is tiny, but it does count. It is a new release in this series. And I absolutely loved this. I love the characters. I love the South Coast rep in here. Being a Southampton girly, there was a bit of Southampton in here. And I ate this up. The only criticism I have is that I wish it was longer. So for that reason, it got 4 stars. And to prove it, it does have a map. The next book that I finished was on Final Book Support Group for a subscription box book. It was also on Aurelium. Extra credit. Spells and Incantations Q, a book shown in one of G's videos, and I found one. It was on her most anticipated books of 2024. It was The Atlas Complex. I didn't like this. I didn't like it. I felt that it was very repetitive, and we'd seen most of this stuff before. I didn't vibe with it, so it only got 2 stars. The next one was on Final Book Support Group for a graphic novel, manga or short story. It was also on Aurelium for one of my classes, finally. It was Astronomy D, which was to roll a 6-sided dice, and the number of dots equated to the number of pages that you had to read. I rolled a 1, so I had to read under 200 pages. Again, the prompts just aligned. So for that reason, I picked up Saga Volume 8. I loved this. I cannot get enough of this series. I love these characters. Oh, Hazel. I love this series, and I can't. Part of me doesn't want to continue because I don't want it to finish. And this one was quite emotional. So for that reason, of course, it got 5 stars. The next one is my final book support group book for the month. It was on Final Book Support Group for a continuation station, which basically means you read a book that's in the middle of the series, not the beginning, not the end, just in the middle. It was also on Aurelium for another one of my classes, a D in Psionics and Divination, which was to link a book to a tarot card, a random tarot card. So I pulled a random tarot card. I can't remember why I picked this book for this tarot card. I think it was the yellow. I can't remember, but I picked up Take a Hint, Danny Brown. Again, I enjoyed this. I did. I loved the characters. I loved the relationship between them. I love that they're both helping each other. I ate this up and absolutely loved it. So it got 4 stars. The next one was the buzzword book for this month. The prompt for this being senses in the title. It was also on Aurelium for, again, extra credit. Alchemy D, food on the cover. I might have bent this just a little. I read Taste by Stanley Tucci. My life through food. So food is on the cover. It's just not a picture of food. It is the word food. But it counts, right? So I'm bending it slightly. This, if you pick this up, make sure you have snacks next to you because this made me hungry. He takes us on the exploration of food through his life, and the way that he describes food, I ate this up. And there are recipes in here as well, which I'm definitely taking and having to try because they sound amazing. And this is Italian food, and I love Italian. So 4 stars. The next one on here was on Aurelium for Q in Art of Illusion. This was to read a prequel, and it was the Wheel of Time book for this month. It was New Spring. I'll give it to you, it's better than the last 3 or 4 that I've read in this world. Do I think it's necessary? Not really. but it was better. I did cringe in the first paragraph where the Aes Sedai were mentioned and the Aiel were mentioned, but it was better, so it got 3 stars. The next book that I read was on Aurelium for O in Spells and Incantations. This was to read a 5-star prediction. I read Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Roanrich. It wasn't quite a 5-star, but I did enjoy this. I enjoyed the characters and the world, and I can't wait to continue on with this series. It got 4 stars. The next one that I read was on Aurelium for extra credit again. It was O in Psionics and Divination, which was to read your favourite author's debut book. So for that reason, I picked up Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. Every book that I've read from Alice so far I absolutely loved, so I had to go back and read the first one that she wrote, and I'm glad that I did. I loved this. I loved all the twists. I loved Amber, the main character, what she went through. And I don't want to say anything that will spoil it, but everything that she went through in the coma and the reveal, it was just, it was really good. So it got 5 stars. The next one that I read was on Aurelium 4.0 in Alchemy, the prompt for this being an emotional read. I don't get all that emotional at books very often, so I had to Google and I came up with The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and oh my god, I didn't cry, but I came close. I laughed. Characters were just so enjoyable. Hazel was strong from the beginning and you feel from her right away, and then you meet Augustus and Augustus is just so lovely and so selfless, and oh my god, if you know, you know, the Christmas presents. I loved this. 5 stars. The next one was on Aurelium again for extra credit. It was a Q in Animal Studies, which the prompt was to read a standalone. For this, I decided to pick up None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I've had hit and miss with Lisa Jewell in the past, so I thought I'd pick this one up, give it a go. I liked it, I just didn't love it. The characters were okay, the mystery was okay, so it got 3 stars. The next one was on Aurelium for, again, extra credit, Q in Demonology, which was to read the last book that you borrowed. For this, I picked up Harlan Coben's Just One Look. This was the last book that I borrowed from the library. I love how flippity floppity this is, and I cannot stop doing that. I can't. It's so flippy. I love it. I'm back to a hit with Harlan Coben. This was really good. Again, twisty. You don't see it coming. Characters were enjoyable. And yeah, another hit for me from Harlan Coben. 4 stars. The next one that I read was on Aurelium 4.0 in Art of Illusion. This was to use an emoji generator. I got a golfer, so I picked up Golf Romance. I picked up Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey, and I'm so glad that I did. I was a little bit skeptical about Golf Romance, but I love these 2 characters, and I could not get enough of these 2 and them helping each other out here and there, and oh my god, I can't wait to read more from this author. It got 5 stars. The next one was on Aurelium again for extra credit. It was Q in Restoration, which was a night sky on the cover. I might have bent this again just slightly because it's space on the cover, but I read Waking Gods by Sylvain Neuvel. I absolutely loved Sleeping Giants, and so I thought I'd pick this one up, but this one fell a little short for me. I love the elements of like interviews in there, and we hear from different perspectives in here, but I didn't get along with this one as much as I did Sleeping Giants, so it got 3 stars. The next one was on Aurelium for Q in Psionics and Divination, which was to have the same letter in the title 4 times or more. I did find one. It was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. This was weird, wacky, drug crazed, just insane, but I really enjoyed it. And illustrations in here are just weird. I can't show that one. But again, absolutely love the art by Ralph Steadman, and I would kind of want a piece of this guy's artwork on my wall. I had fun with this. It got 4 stars. The next one was Honorarium again for extra credit. This was Q in Conjuration, which was a book that won an award. This book won the 2023 Goodreads Memoir and Biography Award. So for that reason, I picked up The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. And I've secretly loved this woman since I was a kid. And hearing what she went through in this book, this woman is so strong. And I still love her. This got 5 stars. And listen to the audio because it's really good. The next one was Honorarium for O in Law, which was to read a vampire book. So for that reason, I picked up The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner by Stephanie Meyer. This is a Twilight novella. It was good to be back in this world, and it was kind of good to see a different side of the New Blood Army. But I think that I'm the wrong demographic for this now. I think I'm too old for this now. So it did get 3 stars. The next one I read was Honorarium for, again, extra credit. This was Q in Alchemy, which was to read a self-published book to a traditionally published book. I googled, and apparently this is. So I picked up Verity by Colleen Hoover. I'm glad that I did. I very early on figured out what was going on and the main twist at the end, but I still enjoyed the characters. I still enjoyed every little element of this, so it did get 4 stars. The next one that I read again was on Honorarium for extra credit. It was O in Demonology, which was to have a non-bookie pick a book for you. I let mum loose on my library shelf and she picked up, I'm glad she did, Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the 3rd book in the Icebreaker series, and I love these two. I love these two. We have Henry, we have Hallie, they help each other. He needs help with his schoolwork, she needs help coming out of her shell, and this was really good. So good. Love the character, love the chemistry, just love the writing, and 5 stars. The next book that I read was Honorarium for Q in Astronomy, which was to read a book that was released in your birth month. I looked through Goodreads, I googled it, I looked through everywhere, and this book just kept coming up. So for that reason, I picked up Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I didn't get along with this as much as everybody else. Everyone else seems to rave about this, and I didn't connect with it like other people do. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I just didn't connect with it, so it got 3 stars. The next book that I read was Honorarium for Q in Astronomy, which was to read a book with a castle on the cover. I went through my library and this came up, so it was The Enchanted Castle by E. Nesbit. This is a children's book, so again, I was sceptical going into this one, that maybe this wasn't for me, but I had fun. I enjoyed it. I loved the adventure. I liked the characters, which was weird because they were kids. But I don't know what it was, but I really enjoyed it, so it got 4 stars. The next one that I read was for D in Art of Illusion. This was to have the word memory in the title. Again, I went to my library, had a look, and it came up with Memory by Lucy Dawson. This was really, really good. This had dual timeline. For the most part, you didn't know what was happening, and there was theories in my head, and some of them paid off, some of them didn't. And I enjoyed it because I didn't know what was fully happening all the time, and it got 4 stars. The next one on here was for O in Animal Studies. This was to read a book with a phoenix on the cover. I know everybody's reading a specific phoenix book, but I didn't pick that up because I needed a shorter one to get it on here. So I, once again, scrolled through my library and it came up with The Phoenix and the Carpet by E. Nesbit, and I thought because I had fun last time with E. Nesbit, maybe I'll have fun with this one. And I did. Again, loved the adventure that these kids went on. I loved the magic. and Phoenix was such a character that it got 4 stars. The next one was O in Conjuration. This was to have bats on the cover. I decided to pick up How to Marry a Millionaire Vampire by Carolyn Sparks, and I had fun. I really enjoyed these characters. I don't think it should have taken quite as long for her to figure out that he was a vampire, but I did really enjoy it. I like that she didn't really get along with people and she was distancing herself from all these people, and that he had this whole empire that he has and mashed them together and it just worked. I really enjoyed it. It got 4 stars. The next one on here is for D in Artificery. This was to have a number in the title. Because I didn't do the O in Artificery, I don't get to call that pass, but I read the book for D, which was a number in the title. I finished Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. Oh my god. Joey is going through so much. Aoife is just, is just there when she needs him, and she's so understanding, and he goes through so much. I cannot wait to pick up Redeeming. I need to read Redeeming right now, but I can't because I'm in another readathon. I couldn't get enough. I couldn't get enough. I couldn't get enough, and I want more. I want more. Definitely 5 stars. Cannot wait to pick up Redeeming. And that is everything that I read in the month of September. I'm shocked by how much I read this month. Could I do this challenge again? Maybe when we're back at Aurelium in April? Could I make it to 10,000 pages? That's a lot of pages. That's a lot of pages. But that's everything that I read in September. What do you think? Was there anything based on what I read that you would recommend for me? Let me know down below. But as always, down in my description box you can find a link to all of my socials. Come give me a follow on Goodreads on Instagram and on X. You can like this video, you can comment, and you can subscribe if you want to. Want to let me know you're here without actually talking to me? Leave me a trophy emoji because I did read so much this month. And I will see you next time. Toodles!